The notification lands at 10:47 p.m. You leave it untouched. You already have a pretty good idea of what it means. For the next month, you avoid opening that account entirely. Not because something happened by accident, because at some point, seeing the truth started feeling heavier than staying unaware. What happens when ignorance feels like relief? A rent payment is scheduled to leave in 72 hours. Instead of checking the money app, you switch to another screen, the one where you order food. A meal costs either $8 or $12. They are almost identical. You choose the cheaper one. You convince yourself it is discipline, a responsible decision. But that isn't really what is happening. It is a way to delay facing something, and you haven't learned the difference yet. This is Maya at 24. She works as a brand assistant. She earns $21.25 an hour, a job title that sounds impressive until the paycheck tells a different story. She is not drowning. She is also nowhere close to comfortable. What Maya cannot see tonight is this. Her phone is lying face down beside her pillow. Half a year from now, another alert will appear at almost the same late hour. This time, she will look at it calmly. The fear will not arrive first. She has no idea that version of herself is coming. Her name is Maya. Nobody is paying attention to that fact. She rents a room in a shared two-bedroom place with Tessa, inside an old renovated home outside the city. Their monthly rent is $1,720, and Maya covers $860. The vehicle parked outside is a 2017 Civic. There is $5,400 remaining on the loan. Maya knows that figure by memory. Beyond that, there are plenty of things she avoids knowing. A credit account sits unopened. Maya has stayed away from the app for nearly a month. Not because the login disappeared from her mind, because uncertainty feels easier to carry than confirmation. That is the strange part. Avoidance rarely announces itself as a decision. It arrives disguised as nothing. A normal afternoon, a quick scroll, a moment where you pass something important and barely notice you passed it. This is the invisible part nobody warns you about, because there is no dramatic scene attached to it. One Thursday morning, Maya's phone vibrates. A forgotten membership renews. It is a wellness service she tried once during March. The charge is $14.49. The money vanishes before she finishes her coffee. No conversation, no second question, no pause. The company does not know Maya is stressed. It does not know she has been avoiding her numbers. It simply follows the instructions built into the system. That is the first idea to understand. The system is not attacking you. It is not protecting you either. It follows its programming. Payments happen when they are scheduled, whether you are watching or not. Psychologists have a name for this pattern, the ostrich effect. It is not a sign of being lazy. It is not proof that someone does not care. It is the brain attempting to shield itself from information that feels threatening. The issue is that this shield only works briefly. The anxiety does not vanish. It sinks below the surface and keeps influencing your choices without asking permission. On a Sunday afternoon, after a rough night, Tessa is sleeping in the other room. Maya opens her banking app. This time she does more than glance at the balance. She pulls up the complete history, every purchase, every charge, the previous 90 days. It takes about 14 minutes to organize the transactions, group the categories, and actually look. Then she sees the total listed under delivery orders. The number is so unexpected that Maya lowers the phone, stares ahead, and picks it up again, as if the screen might somehow show something different. The figure stays exactly where it is. Numbers don't magically shift on their own. What changes is the way you finally face them. Maya doesn't capture the screen. She doesn't text it to anyone or ask someone else to react. She simply remains on the edge of the mattress and does the one thing that feels almost too ordinary to matter. She looks. That's all. No budget system. No grand strategy. No calculations waiting in the wings. Just a first honest glance at something that had existed in plain sight for nearly a month. You can't change a reality that you keep hidden from yourself. This isn't a punishment or some dramatic lesson. It's just an entrance. And the strange part is, the entrance was never blocked. It was available the entire time. Maya just hadn't walked through it. What Maya hasn't realized yet is that this quiet moment on a Sunday morning, holding a phone filled with figures that finally form a pattern instead of a blur, is only the beginning. The amount itself was never the real enemy. The real issue was everything concealed behind it, and in the next few weeks, Maya is going to uncover exactly what that hidden piece is. On Monday evening, Maya opens a spreadsheet. She starts with a free template, and by the time she finishes adjusting it, the simple layout has become 4 sections. 4 numbers. That's all she needs for now. First, monthly income after taxes, the money that actually reaches the account. For Maya, that comes to $2,940 each month. Second, essential costs, housing, transportation, groceries, and the unavoidable bills that show up regardless of mood or timing. Third, money for later, anything already being placed into savings or retirement. For Maya, that amount is nothing, not a small contribution, 0. Fourth, personal spending, whatever remains after everything else, the category that leaves room for life to still feel enjoyable. Maya begins entering the true figures, not the estimates she had been carrying around in her head. The actual amounts go in. Rent, $860. Vehicle payment, $310. The streaming subscription shared with Tessa, $11. Groceries, an imperfect estimate, somewhere around $280. Then the app reveals a section Maya has never bothered opening before. Delivery meals, $187 during the previous month alone. She studies that figure longer than she studied rent, longer than the car payment. $187 spent on prepared bowls and quick meals that cost $8, sometimes reaching $24 during an especially careless week. There is no villain hiding in the story, no surprise charges from the bank, no sudden increase from a landlord, just dozens of tiny choices that never felt like choices while they were happening. Maya saves the image for herself. She doesn't forward it. Instead, she places the amount into the spreadsheet under personal spending, exactly where it belonged from the beginning. It isn't hidden anymore. It has a name. Awareness doesn't immediately feel empowering. It feels like your own device revealing something you were avoiding. That's the trade no one really mentions. When you finally examine the truth, the first emotion isn't pride. It's vulnerability. But being visible is not the same as being damaged. It simply means you can finally understand the outline of what you kept pushing away. By the time the night ends, the spreadsheet shows the reality clearly. Take-home pay, $2,940. Essential expenses, about $1,400. Future money left over, none. The category everyone ignores is the spending that feels harmless. Once the bowls and small extras are counted, the actual figure lands close to $1,500 each month. Maya had never realized that paycheck contained a hidden number like that. It had been there the whole time, waiting to be identified. Maya shuts the laptop shortly after midnight. The situation is exactly the same for now. No cash has been redirected. Nothing has been transferred. But when the next month arrives, Maya won't just observe the balance anymore. Maya will start controlling where it goes. The first goal is $1,880. That is the true monthly price of keeping life running. Every unavoidable piece is included: housing, transportation, food, and all the expenses that refuse to disappear. Maya looks at the total twice and lets out a strange laugh. It isn't excitement. It's the uncomfortable kind, because nobody really explains this part. Putting that amount away within a month isn't simply a test of willpower. It means accepting the feeling that something is absent for a little while. People naturally chase what feels good immediately and postpone what protects them later. Saving can register as losing something, even when the reality is completely different. Maya removes the fitness subscription, the one that quietly renewed itself at the beginning without permission. The extra streaming package goes too. The shared service stays because Tessa actually uses it. Then Maya starts making the pasta from a recipe Tessa's mother sent long ago and never prepared. Around $4 per serving. Maybe a little more. Still nowhere near $14.49. Definitely not $24. Opening the banking app, Maya creates a high-interest savings account in roughly 9 minutes. There is no office visit, no employee across a desk, no conversation involved, just paperwork on a screen, a confirmation code, and an empty balance waiting for its first deposit. Maya schedules an automatic transfer of $200 every week. It happens whether it crosses Maya's mind or not. That small choice ends up meaning far more than it appears. During the second week, a friend shares concert tickets online. General admission costs $90, and the band is one Maya has followed since teenage years. Maya reaches the checkout screen, puts the tickets in the cart, and leaves the page open. The tab stays there. The purchase never happens. After nearly a minute of staring at the order, Maya closes it. The hardest things to walk away from are rarely the biggest expenses. They are the ones connected to the person you were before you began paying closer attention. There is one habit Maya refuses to remove: the morning coffee from the gas station. It costs $4.75 on the commute each day. Maya expects that choice to create guilt. It doesn't. A financial cushion can exist alongside one small comfort that has nothing to do with optimization. By the third week, Tessa brings up splitting a short weekend escape, a friend's cabin about 2 hours away, with only fuel and groceries to cover. Maya says, this isn't the right month. Tessa doesn't argue. Instead, the atmosphere changes slightly. A new gap appears where there wasn't one at the beginning. Maya feels it, but doesn't try to solve it immediately. Some things remain uncertain, especially between two people sharing a home while learning that they are becoming more cautious in different ways and at different speeds. The point is not that Maya is forcing herself to live with less. She is purchasing a version of her life where a random Tuesday no longer feels like an emergency. That shift matters. It is not punishment. It is an intentional exchange for a calmer future moment that has not arrived yet. When the month closes, the savings balance shows $1,910. The target was missed by $90, but Maya carries the shortfall into the opening days of the following month, instead of spiraling over it. The purpose was never to hit a flawless mark. It was to prove that progress could happen deliberately, that the number could finally move in a direction she chose. Maya still leaves the alert tone disabled. She checks the account when she planned to, not because fear pushes her there. But the next stage is about to challenge the system she created. A choice has to be made. Which debt deserves attention first, and which one can wait? For the first time, Maya places the two balances beside each other. The credit card shows $2,120 with an interest rate of 23.5%. The student loan sits at $26,400 with a 4.9% rate. Before this, Maya treated both problems as one giant burden. Debt was just one unpleasant label covering everything. But these two obligations are not identical. They never operated the same way. Maya contacts the credit card company after noticing an extra charge. An $18 fee appeared because a payment was processed one day after the deadline. She listens to the familiar hold music, the kind that repeats so quietly you only notice after several loops. A representative named Brielle answers, follows the standard process, and explains that the charge cannot be removed this time. A reference number is offered if Maya wants to continue the conversation later. No one is hostile. No one goes out of their way to help either. The $18 disappears in exactly the way the system allows it to disappear. Months earlier, something like this would have destroyed Maya's confidence. Now it is simply information, not a disaster. The card company charges what it charges. A person calling without a long relationship or negotiating power is unlikely to change the outcome. Maya ends the call, records the $18 in her tracker, and keeps going. For the first time, Maya organizes the debts by priority. The highest cost comes before the largest amount. The calculation matters more than the emotional pressure. The credit card leads because 23.5% will overpower 4.9% every time, regardless of which balance feels more intimidating. The student loan is not being ignored. It is being placed in the correct order. Maya redirects the extra money created by the new routine. Home-cooked meals replace takeout, the unused fitness subscription stays canceled, and entertainment spending gets paused. Altogether, she sends $360 toward the card during that first push. The balance falls to $1,760. It is not erased. But it is no longer growing in the only direction Maya remembers. It is moving downward. Around the third week, Maya begins building an emergency reserve. This is separate from the one-month cushion already sitting in savings. The eventual goal is 90 days of essential expenses, a total of $6,120. She is nowhere near that amount yet. She starts anyway with $30, because a small beginning creates momentum while waiting for a perfect starting point creates nothing. The temptation hits hard. Stop every other move and pile every spare dollar into the emergency cushion until it looks complete. Put the debt strategy on hold. Delay the investing plan before it even has a chance to begin. Wait for the moment when everything finally feels settled. Maya comes close to choosing that path. She doesn't. Instead, she keeps attacking the balance while building savings beside it. The progress is modest, but it is consistent. Two goals are advancing together, and neither has to wait for the other one to be finished. Debt itself is not automatically the villain. The real problem is the kind that charges more interest than you can reasonably outrun. A balance is not something to fear just because it exists. Some debts are simply numbers that require time and discipline. Others quietly become more expensive every day they remain untouched. When the month closes, the card balance sits at $1,760. The emergency account holds $120 after 4 weeks. Nothing about those figures looks impressive from the outside. There is no dramatic transformation, but the trajectory is different now, and at this point, that shift matters more than the size of the results. Maya has no idea yet, but the emergency savings she started this month will become the barrier that prevents the next unexpected expense from knocking her backward. It was not a perfectly designed strategy. The sequence just happened to work. A message remains unopened in Maya's inbox for almost a week. The subject mentions getting the most from workplace benefits. It sounds like the kind of automated email people delete without thinking. But this one is different. It comes from HR, and it is about the 401k, the retirement plan Maya has contributed nothing to since starting the job. She finally opens it on a Thursday afternoon, mostly because she has nothing better to do. Then she sees the detail she missed for so long, the company match. For every dollar Maya contributes, the employer adds 50 cents, up to 5% of her paycheck. She reads the policy again, then once more. 18 months have passed with that benefit sitting untouched on every paycheck. Nobody concealed it. Nobody brought it up either. It was simply buried in the employee materials, waiting for the right moment to be discovered. It is not just a saying when people call it free money. It is an actual system. Maya puts in $1, and another 50 cents appears before the market even has a chance to move. That same afternoon, Maya raises her retirement contribution from 0 to 5%. Her paycheck drops by roughly $88 every 2 weeks. A deduction that would have felt massive at the beginning now blends into the background like any other expense. During that same stretch, Maya opens a Roth IRA. At 24 years old, she is creating her first serious investment account. The opening deposit is $75. It feels almost laughably small. It sits next to stories about people reaching retirement with fortunes and social media posts filled with numbers that seem impossible to match. Still, Maya invests the money. She chooses a total market index fund, not a random company recommendation from a group chat or a trend someone online is chasing. One fund gives her exposure to the broader market, with costs so low they are barely noticeable. She does not understand every holding inside it yet. She understands enough to begin. That's okay. A few days later, the market slides. Maya's $75 contribution is suddenly worth $73.10. She looks at the account and feels almost nothing. It is nothing like the panic that came from opening her bank app during those first days. Now it is simply interesting to see a figure unrelated to rent, food, or daily survival shift around because of the market's movements. There is no reason to sell when the account is still in its earliest stage. Maya leaves it alone and observes. That choice, refusing to react, is the real lesson. Nobody celebrates that skill. Maya switches a single alert back on. Only one type: investment activity. The sound that once represented anxiety now occasionally means something far less threatening, like a balance changing by a few dollars. She hardly feels anything when it rises or falls. The goal was never to pick between being protected and building wealth. For once, she is attempting both, even if the results are imperfect by design. Imperfect because $75 each month will not create a viral success story. By design, because taking imperfect action today is better than waiting forever for the perfect moment. The emergency savings continues moving upward too. It reaches $230. Meanwhile, the credit card debt continues dropping. The balance is down to $1,600. Maya still keeps all of this private. She has not mentioned it to Tessa or anyone in the group chat. There is no exciting announcement to make. It is only a small automatic investment and an account she no longer feels compelled to monitor constantly. The following month brings a more meaningful shift. Not in the budget tracker, not in the numbers. It happens during a conversation Maya has been postponing since she first started this job. After 18 months earning $21.25 per hour, Maya opens a salary comparison website during lunch while sitting alone in the break area. She holds her phone at an angle away from the entrance, almost as if she is hiding the fact that she is researching her own worth. Brand assistants with similar experience in Maya's area are typically earning between $23 and $26 an hour. She reads the information again and again. Then she scribbles calculations on a scrap of paper. The difference adds up to several $1,000s annually. Before arriving at work, Maya practices the words in her car. She says the sentence twice while staring at an empty passenger seat. "I'd like to discuss my compensation." It sounds natural inside the vehicle. It feels completely different while walking toward an office, where the door is slightly open. Her manager, Harrington, is not unfriendly. He is simply distracted, focused on something displayed on another screen, while Maya explains why she requested the meeting. She presents the salary research, the long stretch without a meaningful adjustment, the projects she completed successfully, and the client relationship she helped preserve in April. Harrington listens, nods, and tells her he will review everything. Maya returns to her desk, already sensing what the eventual message will say. Days turn into weeks with no response. There is no dramatic confrontation, and that almost makes it worse. It is not a firm refusal, just uncertainty disguised as a possibility, a kind of silence that can hurt more than a clear answer. Maya does not bring it up again. She does not resign either. Instead, she begins looking in different directions, searching beyond the path she had always assumed was the only option. Someone she used to work with at the restaurant tells Maya about a gig app. It offers short weekend bartending assignments, with bookings handled through a phone and payments arriving quickly. Maya creates an account on a Tuesday evening. Her first assignment comes that Saturday at a business networking event in the city center. She spends 4 hours standing behind a temporary setup, serving wine from bottles into disposable cups. The first deposit is $164. It is nowhere near the promotion she wanted, but it is tangible. The money reaches her account during the same week she earns it, without anyone needing to approve or investigate anything first. Maya accepts 2 additional shifts before the month ends. If Harrington had approved the request, the extra income would have been about $400 after taxes each month, flowing into the same financial structure she had already built. Instead of receiving that opportunity, Maya finds a smaller and more gradual source of progress. The numbers still improve, only by taking another route. Around the middle of the month, a pre-approved credit card offer arrives in the mailbox. This is not one of those exploitative offers aimed at people with no options. It is a legitimate card with a modest limit and no flashy promises. The envelope has Maya's name written correctly, and the message references the same bank where she already keeps her money. 8 months earlier, that bank's mobile app was mostly sending her alerts about overdrafts. Now the institution is reaching out with an invitation. Maya herself has not transformed overnight. What changed was the behavior recorded in her account. Banks do not reward loyalty through a paycheck. They respond when there is something to negotiate. When the month closes, the card shows a balance of $1,200. Her emergency savings have reached $410. The extra work is finally pushing those numbers upward at a faster pace. Her Roth IRA sits slightly above $200, and her side earnings for the month total $412. 3 shifts, 1 temporary table, countless plastic cups. Maya still does not have the raise she hoped for. She simply stopped treating that raise as the only possible solution. On a Sunday afternoon, Maya arranges every transfer in one session. Rent moves automatically. The car payment follows automatically. The card payment is scheduled automatically. The Roth IRA contribution is automated too. Her 401k has already been running on its own since the 4th month. Whatever remains after those obligations settle goes into a separate spending account. That is the only place Maya can use money freely, without analyzing every choice. There is a name for the problem this approach solves: decision fatigue. Each choice the mind handles throughout the day makes the later decisions harder. Eventually, people stop making deliberate choices and simply pick the easiest option available. The workout gets skipped. The meal gets ordered. The notification gets ignored. Motivation disappears before the week is over. A well-built system does not run out of energy. Nearly a month later, a subscription attempts to renew at a higher rate. It is the same type of unnoticed expense that caused trouble earlier. This time, Maya notices it before it happens. A weekly review on a specific day has become enough to keep things under control. It was not enough before. She cancels the renewal in seconds. No panic. No need to send proof to anyone. Just a quiet adjustment from someone who understands exactly where every dollar in her system should be headed. Tessa brings up the savings plan while they are cleaning up after dinner, asking in that offhand way people do when they are only making conversation. She is not expecting much of an answer. Maya simply says, "It's going well." She does not go into the retirement match details, the compound growth calculations, or the strange pile of supplies that once represented the beginning of the whole process. There is barely a story to tell now. The machine is already built. Maya is no longer fighting with it. She is just moving through life with it, running quietly in the background. The numbers at the close of the 5.5 month tell the real story. The credit card debt is gone, completely cleared for the first time since this whole shift began. The emergency savings account holds $690. It is not the final goal yet, but it keeps expanding week after week without requiring a fresh decision every single time. The Roth IRA sits at $420. Nothing massive, nothing flashy. A real start, 24 years old and already moving forward at its own pace. Extra income has settled into a reliable rhythm, not perfect every week, but consistent enough to make a difference. From the outside, none of this looks extraordinary. There is no announcement, no dramatic transformation montage. No crowd watching a grand victory moment. It is quiet progress. It happens without attention, without praise, without anyone clapping from the sidelines. The answer was never becoming a person with endless self-control. The answer was creating a setup where constant self-control was no longer required. Maya did not suddenly become better at debating whether to buy the $8 bowl or the $12 bowl. She created a life where that decision stopped showing up as a daily test. One weekend evening, almost exactly 5.5 months after that first alert at 10:47, Maya is stretched out on the couch, only half following a show playing on the television. Her phone is sitting screen up beside her, something she rarely allowed herself to do before. Then it vibrates. It is 10:47 at night. Maya checks the screen without hesitation, no tension, no feeling of dread building before she looks. It is simply an investment notification. The Roth account increased by $6 during the previous 10 days. She watches the message for maybe 3 seconds, then returns her attention to the show. Earlier in this journey, that exact sound at that same hour carried a completely different meaning. It suggested a problem waiting to be uncovered. It suggested a balance she was afraid to face. It meant leaving the phone turned over on the bed because avoiding the truth felt easier than confronting it. Tonight is ordinary. That is the whole idea. Maya did not receive a sudden promotion from Harrington. She did not reach some magical figure that instantly transformed everything. She did not become famous online. She did not walk away from her job. She simply created a system, modest, repetitive, and automatic. Somewhere throughout those 5.5 months of following it, the anxiety that once lived inside every notification slowly disappeared. Tessa is sleeping in the other room. The 2017 Civic remains parked outside, with payments still attached to it. The bulls are still priced at $8 or $12, and most evenings Maya still chooses the cheaper one. Not because she feels deprived, not because she is forcing herself. It is just the option she genuinely prefers in that moment. Somewhere tonight, another person is lying on a bed with their phone turned away, ignoring a notification they already understand too well. They have not discovered yet that the number was never the true enemy. They have not learned what can happen after months of simply checking once, honestly, and staying present. The alert used to represent danger. Now it is only a noise. The account did not transform overnight. Maya did.